Well, hi once again. And here we are with another episode of Unstoppable Mindset. Today, we get to travel outside of the United States to meet with Jagwe Muzafaru. And I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that mostly right. If I'm not, he'll correct me. He is a person who has become very much involved in Paralympics in Uganda, especially blind football. And we're going to talk about that, what it is, and hear other things from him as well. So, Jagwe, welcome to Unstoppable Mindset. We're really glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you, Mike, for the invitation and interest in what I do.
Well, so I want you to start, if you would, by telling us about you as a young man and growing up and all that kind of stuff. So, have you been blind your whole life?
Not really. Like he has informed you, my name is Jagwe Muzafaru, and I'm the founder. But to tell you about my story, I'm totally blind or blind. I'm sighted, and I have one of my left eye is the one which damaged, and this came as a result of an accident from school where I got burnt on the left side of the body with fire, and it left my eye damaged on the left side, but the right side has some sight. Yeah.
But you are considered blind today? You are considered a person who is pretty much mostly blind, I assume.
Yeah, but they consider me as somebody with low vision, maybe.
Okay, low vision is fine. We bring them all together, so that's okay. So, tell me about you growing up. So you went to school and all that, and well, so tell us about you a little bit growing up.
Yeah, true. I went to school, and growing up, I'm born in a family of about 8 people. I'm the last born in the family, and I grew up maybe being taken care of by mostly my brothers, sisters around, because our mom took or has grown us simply alone, because our dad died early when I was young in the 90s. And then she has been caring for us for over all those years up to now. So for the studying, I studied up to university, where I graduated in a bachelor with a bachelor's degree in business computing from Macquarie University. And through the growing up, it's where I've been participating in several events, mostly in sports, and that's where the interest came in, and that's where the interest comes in from what I do, what I run currently. Because even at campus, I used to participate in sports, para sports, mostly, especially goalball, and it's where I got the interest to also venture into sports management as an administrator.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about what goalball is.
Goalball is a team sport that is played by 3 people on each side. And for goalball, you roll the ball around, but the ball makes sound. You roll the ball around, sending it to your opponent, and if they miss the ball, they end up scoring a goal, or it's a goal which is considered if they fail to block the ball from going into their net.
Okay.
For it, it's played on a surface of 18 by 9, 18 meters long by 9 in width, and it's played by 3 people specifically, but all these people are all blindfolded.
They're blindfolded or they're blind.
They are blind. They can be blind or visually impaired.
Yeah.
But they are blindfolded.
Right. Yeah. So that everyone.
And I believe some people.
Go ahead.
Yeah, they are on an equal ground. So
Yeah.
for sports, we use certain ones like total blind and then blind. So where does it come from? It comes from the classes that they give us. For B1 are those people who have no level of sight or they can't see anything. Then for B2, those are the people we always consider who have some sight, who can even tell that this is the shape of something, or who can tell that this is light. So for B3 are people who are sighted, slightly sighted, and these B3s are at least have some sight. They can easily read or they use large prints, and these can be people who have albinism or people when your eye is simply damaged or people who have long-sightedness or short-sightedness. So that's how we are categorized. So if I
Okay.
use totally blind, so nobody get confused about it.
Okay. Um, so you got a bachelor's in business computing. And when did you get that degree?
I graduated in 2019.
In 2019. So how old are you now?
I'm currently clocking 27 in August.
Okay. Well, an early happy birthday to you. I was just asking because I wanted to really just put everything in perspective because you have really done a lot since graduating. And
Thank
while
you.
you were in school,
Yeah.
you have done a lot. And I think that's pretty interesting to really have some of those experiences. So you formed an organization. When did you form it and what's the name of it and what does it do?
Yeah, I started the organization. It's called Blind Football Uganda, and I started it in 2021. So Blind Football Uganda, it's a two-way organization. First, we run it as an NGO that advocates for a few things related to persons with vision impairments and blindness. And then on the other side, we run it as a sports federation. So on the Ugandan setting, we are recognized by, we are affiliated to Uganda Paralympic Committee and even which is a member of our National Council of Sports. And currently we applied for review to be under also to affiliate under our FA in Uganda, which is Federation of Uganda Football Association, that is FUFA. And so Blind Football Uganda is a parasport organization that specifically govern, promote, develops, and majorly the sport of blind football. And when I tell you about blind football, it's a sport or game that is played specifically by people who are blind or visually impaired, depending on their category.
Mm-hmm. Well, now you've told us about goalball, and I assume that blind football is different than goalball. Goalball sounds more like, well, I was going to say it sounds more like soccer, but what's the difference between goalball and blind football?
Yeah, the difference between goalball and blind soccer is the way it's played. For goalball is played on. It's a team sport like blind football, but goalball is played by 3 people. But blind football will play 5 people on a pitch. For goalball, we use hands to roll the ball. Then the ball reaches the opponent. But for blind football, we specifically use the feet. We kick the ball.
Like with regular soccer.
Yeah, it's like normal regular soccer. And to tell you about a little about blind football is a modified sport from the game of futsal. For those who may be in knowing futsal is also a normal like a sighted person's game. It's played on a 40-meter by 20-meter surface, which is also blind football size of a game. but the difference comes in with the rules that we use. Our rules for blind football are always modified in one way as compared to the futsal side. There are some things that we remove that apply in futsal which don't apply in blind football. For example, for starters, the ball we used to play is a ball that makes rattling sound whenever it moves. So this is I have a ball here with me, and I think I can.
Yeah, I hear that. And so
That's the
whenever
sound
the
of
ball
the
moves,
ball.
that's what whenever the ball moves, that's what people hear.
Yeah, that's the sound it creates. And as the ball, and as the ball keeps in play, so the persons who always have the ball, he has to say, he has to keep quiet, play, and you can imagine if somebody is blindfolded and is blind, how can somebody play without being injured? So we have communicating words or rules that we have in play. One of them is the VOY rule. So it's VOY. It comes from a Spanish word. It's just an interpretation of a Spanish word, which we use to say go, go. So for us, we use voy, voy, voy. Why is it in Spanish? Because the game was developed in Spain in around 1970s. So if I'm the one with the ball, I have to keep silent and keep playing. So if Mike has the ball, Mike has to say voy, voy, voy. So that's how I can easily understand that Mike is coming from this side. And then find means of dodging, not colliding with him. So when I hear his voice, just know it's going to come in an offense or a defense mode to just take the ball or take possession of the ball from you. So to prevent it, you have to dodge him. And for us, we have guides normally in our game. Behind the goalkeepers, there is somebody who stands behind the goalkeepers who communicates to the players that you have reached this direction, you can shoot. Anyway, gives them awareness so that they know and reach a point that they can shoot a ball at any time. So that's how the game is structured. But some things are removed, like offsides. We don't have offsides. We play for less minutes, like which is not the same for sighted football. For us, we play for 15 minutes. One half is 15, another half is 15, which makes a total of full time 30 minutes. So in the past, we have been playing for 20 minutes each half. But as per the modified rules for this year up to 2025, we are playing for 15 minutes on a surface of 40 by 20, and on the side of the 40 meters, we always have boards that cover the touch lines, because if somebody is blind, there's no way he can throw the ball. If the ball goes out, there's no way he can throw it when they can't see. And about the team, it's played on by 5 people on each side, but the goalkeeper is a sighted person. The 4 outfield players are always blind or are blindfolded, but the goalkeeper is a sighted person. And as I've told you, behind the goalkeeper, there has to be a guide who directs these people who are playing. The sweet thing about it, when it comes to scoring goals, the 4 outfield players can score a goal and they can be considered. But the goalkeeper, even if he scores any goal, it can't be considered for reason of fairness. And some people always wonder, why do blind people have to be, they are blind. So why do you still have to blindfold them? It's because of the classification that we have. Because some may have some little sight, others may not be.
Right.
And in football or in sport, we always have to promote that thing of fair play. So we cover their eyes to put them at a leveled ground where everybody plays at a leveled ground. And the game is played by male and female categories.
But they're separate teams. So you don't have male and female on the same team, or do you?
No, we don't have
Okay,
male on the same team. They
with
they
female,
play
right?
differently, but when it comes to training or inclusive matches, you can do it. But for official matches, standard matches, they're separate teams.
So I'm curious, why did they cut the time from 20 minutes and a half to 15 minutes and a half?
I personally I don't sit on the on the assembly because internationally you have to be a member of the International Blind Sports Association. So for me, I'm at the receiving end. I didn't really get to know why they cut it, and it has begun this year in January. Last year in January, anyway.
Mm-hmm. So now, so when again we're talking about blind football or what we call in the United States soccer, right?
Yeah,
Right.
what you call
Okay.
soccer.
Right. Well, blind football is
But it
fine.
should stay. Yeah, it should stay as blind football because when you consider your direction like football, what you consider as football, it's used you play with hands, which is not
Yeah.
foot.
Yeah. Well, no, I understand,
Yeah,
but
so
and in most parts of the world,
yeah.
it is football, not soccer, so it's okay. So now, how do
Yeah.
people know where the goal is? So you're playing, and everyone is being very active, and they're trying to get the ball or
Yeah.
stop the ball and so on. But how do you know where the goal is? Does the goalkeeper make sound? Is there some other sound so that people know where the goal is compared to where they are?
Yeah, that's something I've talked about that for every team has to get a guide, and the guide is a sighted person. So that's the person who communicates to the players when they are playing. It's him who tells them the direction of the goal. It's him who tells them when to shoot or how to move if they are going to reach the goal line or to score. That's the guide, the role of the guide.
So how do people know when they're near the goal?
Yeah, it's the guide still tells them because the goalkeeper doesn't have to. That's not his work.
Right. So there are
It's
guides that tell you that notify people.
yeah, yeah. They stand behind the goals, like they give them a space of 2 meters by 2 meters by length, and then 5 meters maybe by width. That's 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 how they always stand behind the goal lines. So in that way, he can tell that you have reached the goal. You can shoot at that place. Then you shoot.
Right. Okay. All right. It's fascinating, and certainly it is very. I assume it's as aggressive a game as regular sighted people's football in Uganda.
Yeah, yeah, it's very aggressive. And anyway, because Uganda is a football-loving country, people have greatly embraced it.
Well, and that's fine. So, how many blind football teams are there in Uganda at this point?
At this point, we have 8 teams that I can say fully. If I say that tomorrow we have a competition, we have 8 teams, and these teams are spread to Gulu. Gulu is in the north, northern Uganda. We have a team in the central. In the central, we are situated in 2 universities. In the central, like Kampala, we have two teams in Makerere University, and then even Chambogo University, and then we have also a team in Kamuli. Kamuli is in the east of Uganda. After Jinja, you go to Kamuli or Iganga. So Kamuli is in the east, and we also have a team there. And as of this week, I've spent the entire week in Soroti. Soroti is almost like 292 kilometers in the east, far east. where we have fully organized and set up new team in Soroti district. And as the year go on, we are remaining as per the calendar I'm working on with my colleagues. We are remaining with two venues, two areas that we are going to introduce blind football, and then we shall set up teams there. From the 8, then they will increase either to 12 or 13. So we are remaining with Lila. Lila still is in the north, and then Kabale district, and Kabale is in the west. But we have 8 teams.
You have 8 teams now, but you're growing, which is exciting. So how big are the crowds that come to watch you play?
So far, most of the crowds that we are for this year, as per this year, the crowds we have organized the games have been specifically crowds within school settings, like secondary schools, to bring people aware about the sport and know how it is played. The crowds are very, very exciting, and the crowds are very, very many when we organize them. But our major product is always the Blind Football Championship, and that happens always on the 14th of October. We either do it on the 14th or 15th as we celebrate World Sight Day or White Cane Day, one of the 2 days. But this year we are going to do it on the 14th of October. So on the 14th, we always have so many people come around and then cheer us up. It's the major product that we sell, the Blind Football Championship, every year.
How many people do you think there will be?
This year I can't tell, because it's an open ground. So even if people are just passing, they can come around and see. Yeah, so I can't tell at the moment. And lucky enough, because of the activeness we have a team that has already requested. It's going to come from Nairobi, Kenya, to be part of this year's tournament, because they understood that in Kenya, the blind football is not so active, and the people want to play. So one of the coordinators there wrote to me, and we accepted. They are coming to Uganda, so we may have a total of 9 teams if they also come around.
How many people came to the championship game last year?
Truth is, we didn't record their numbers because they just came, but they were not so many, because we used an indoor pitch. It was an indoor pitch.
Okay.
And for an indoor, it's always restricted the numbers, but I can tell from the media, because so many media personnel were with us, they came around on that day.
But you get a lot of people who are fans of sighted football who also come to see blind football because it's still a football game.
Yeah, and so many, most of our spectators are always people who are sighted. Most of them.
Well,
yeah, because
go ahead.
Just us coming around wearing a jersey branded Blind Football Uganda, so somebody starts to imagine, these guys are blind, they are going to play football, how do they play it? So that intrigue in mind forces somebody to come and see and stay around.
Why did you specifically start the organization Blind Football? What really made you do that?
For the first instance was to widen the opportunities or playing opportunities for persons with vision impairment, to see that they can play some more from goalball and athletics, because those 2 sports are traditionally Ugandan sports that have been here, but they don't absorb a given number of people. They are not yet appreciated. So I looked at, why can't I start up something that you can say anybody can relate with, and wherever you move in every household, there's somebody who plays football, or there's somebody who talks about football on a daily. Even if they don't play, at least they support. So that inspired me to start. But as well, on my personal grounds, I always looked at uh, most of us, when we left sports at the university and then we came to the community, most of the sports activities always die and stop at the university. So for me, I looked at, why can't we start something and then be the spearheader of something that can grow and then be of great value to our communities. So from universities, I looked at coming to community, I looked at doing sports as a career itself and inspire people to come and join the sports environment. Because in Uganda, our focus is always on jobs, 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 and jobs are never easy to get. So I looked at sports as a shortcut which can offer solutions to our socio-economic difficulties that we have in our community, because sports is a universal language that you can use to promote or campaign for anything. You can use sports to promote jobs, your job creation, because of the network you may be having. You can use sport as therapy. You can use sports as a health or well-being activity in all aspects. So those are majorly the reasons why I strictly decided to form and start that organization and promote even blind football.
Now, the real serious question is, do you play blind football today?
I don't play for real, because I can't be a chairman or a president for you. Most of the people who may
you can't be a chairman.
I can't be a president of something and then you double task yourself, because there are some things that need to be administrative specifically, and you have to handle administrative work. So for me, my role is on the technical side and administrative work. So I find other people who play. I identify other people who play.
As they would say here, if you played, it would be a conflict of interest, because then you're the chair, you're the chairman, the chair of the company, but you are playing for a team that is really kind of hard to separate. So that doesn't work. Do you play for fun, or what do you do for exercise and for fun then when you're not being the chairman of the organization?
Yeah, I do run. I do run for a while. I do some other physical exercises, but there's no rule that refuses me to play football. But I do even play blind football for fun. And I also play some football with some sighted persons. But for blind football, I only play like if there is an inclusive match and they want us to play like CEOs, like they want us, we are demonstrating to chairmen of companies in
there
such
you
a way.
Go.
Yeah, then I can come in. But for the exact matches, standard matches, no rule refuses me to play. But yeah, I really look at it as, anyway, even in Uganda, I think I'm the only leader in sport who is not playing on the pitch. Most of them find themselves playing, actively play.
But I think you take a right position, because it's very difficult to be the chairman of the organization and then be on a particular team. It can be difficult to separate it. So I'm glad that you don't. Now, when you're playing CEO with CEOs and you're doing those kinds of fun matches, the real question is, do you win?
It's never about winning. It's always about just giving people the feel of what other people what our players go through, and giving them an understanding, because for them, most of the CEOs, they can't even play for 5 minutes, they can't play even for 10 minutes, so
they don't exercise that much.
definitely. So you have to be lenient to them as well.
Make them work. Make them work. But how do they react, though? Do they, when they're done, do they go away with a different idea? Does it help teach them? Do they go away and decide to support what you're doing, and they have a whole different picture than when they started?
Yeah, they are always interested and they feel intrigued about how the game is played, and if they find it even more difficult to play it, and they always tell me that blind people are special people, and most of them always help me and always want to come on board, and we have started a few relationship here and there with them. So what for instance, we have started a good a few Rotary clubs, and they are willing anyway to support a few of our activities, and also they invite us to their events, like we can demonstrate to more people to know about the sport, uh, and that's how we are moving on one step at a time.
I must admit that I don't exercise enough to be able to play it, but I enjoy hearing about it. And I've not ever learned all the rules of football. I've learned more about U.S. football than football in Europe and Africa and so on. But I do think it's fascinating. I was in New Zealand and actually learned about rugby a little bit, which is a totally different thing, and probably even more aggressive than playing either kind of football. But it's still there's always strategy, and that's what I'm fascinated about with sports: the strategies that people have and that the teams work out.
Yeah.
So it makes it a lot of fun, which I think is important to do. So for you, you've now had this organization going, what, 4 years? You started it in 2019 or 2018 rather?
I started it in 2021.
2021. Yeah. So it's only 2 years old. Okay. So
yeah,
what are...
It was 17th June.
I'm sorry?
It was on 17th June.
Okay. My gosh. So 2 years, and right now we're recording this on June 22nd. So 2 years and 5 days. Happy birthday. Well, what are your plans for the organization? What are your plans for the organization going forward?
Yeah, first, for the plans we have, what I'm still continuing is expanding the game to more parts of the country, so that more people can really get the chance to watch it and even play. So we are reaching more other places. Besides that, we are now rolling in more events for people to get the opportunity to participate fully in the sport. For starters, we are going to include an underage competition, and one of it is for primary schools next year. And from that, we are going to also have a secondary school championship. I believe if you're in the US, that's the high school championship. So in Uganda, we use secondary. Mm-hmm. So we are going to roll out a secondary school championship. And then even at a later stage, we want to have another tournament which we will be in for inter-universities. So universities will compete within themselves, and then our major product of the national league will stay there. So those are the few things that we want to do in the competition side. But when you go to the technical side, we want to continue training more coaches, more people who can help us in the technical aspect, so that every area has someone to to coach. It's really tiresome and costly. If we have you have someone has a team and he wants to play, but he's almost 200 kilometers from you, and you tell him, come to this place where I am, which is very expensive. He comes, he lands one day, he goes back, he goes, so it's not really impacting. So you want to leave every area so that if somebody calls from any area, we just tell him we have a coordinator or a coach there, go to this person, he starts coaching you. And we also now focusing on having more ladies on the team. Even today I've been chatting with at least 4 ladies and they are willing, and today we have given him starter sessions, and we shall be progressing and see how they will perform. Then administratively, I want to ask, because we are housed under Uganda Paralympic Committee, we share the address. They just give us a small desk where we can be. So I'm looking at also going independent. We get our own office separate from any other body where anybody can freely come. If possible, if we get maybe land, where someone can come and camp there, play around, and also can do anything related to blind football activities there from there. So those are some of our plans.
Now, in general, not talking like about blind football specifically, but are there professional teams where the players and everyone get paid for doing what they do?
It's only, I believe it's only in Europe, and maybe,
okay,
I don't know about but in Europe it's really very, very, very active.
Very active, yeah.
Because
And
for them, they
not
have
there yet.
Yeah, they have sponsors on board, everything. But for Ugandan setting, we only play specifically just for fun, and there's no payment that is involved.
How about the coordinators, the coaches?
And I don't pay anyone at the moment. We don't pay anybody. But for us, what we do is, like I told you, that we do some advocacy work. So we use sports to solve a few things that players may not be having or may not be at reach with. For example, if someone needs a white cane, so we collaborate with a few organizations, they get us the white canes for free. If someone is in need of braille papers, we coordinate with an organizations that are within the blind community, and then we try to source some of the materials for them as part of the sports aspects. Yeah. And also we advocate and try to give them a few learning tips, like on financial literacy. How can you start something even if you're blind? How can you? So we just share, but we collaborate with a few organizations here and there, and then we try to do it.
How about expenses, like you talked about? If somebody has to go a long ways to get to be able to play, is there any help to assist with expenses and so on for them?
Yeah, for our competitions, like if we organize an event, like we organize an event on 14th October, we always invite players from all over the country. So for us, we cater for them in the transportation and accommodation and feeding. So everybody who comes, we give them transport, accommodation, and feeding. But for allowances like refunds on transport, we don't normally give them. Right. But we help them in that way. And also we have collaborations with a few like organizations that help us to in fundraising for resources that we use, like water, feeding, and then we end up executing such things.
So, how do you actually promote the organization? How do you make it known that you need money or what the organization does? How much are you able to talk about it and get people to take an interest? How do you promote it?
I promote it firstly with social media, through social media platforms, on our own social media platforms, on all social media platforms. Then also on radio, TV, and print. So in some instances, like when we have an event, just like we have one coming in October, we start to visit organize TV stations, radio stations, and then they give us time. And as soon as we are granted permission to be on air, that's how we promote. And I've got the chance to be on several interviews and talked about the sport and even the organization. Even in the US, I've been with the CNN, I've been with the Voice of America, I've been with the Al Jazeera, and I've been with Black Excellence. So those are the media outlets and more, for the US organizations, I've never reached out to them. They just saw the work we do on social media, and then they came and interviewed us. But for our Ugandan settings, even some of them, like 80% of them, I have not contacted them directly that I want airtime or I want some publish about this. It's them who have come out and come to me. And that's how easily I've enabled to promote the sport. Yeah, it's unfortunate that I've never seen myself live on air. And even when some of the recordings are taken, they just find me either moving or people just tell me, we saw you on TV. And I ask them when, not remembering, because nobody will tell you that your story published. So I just see recordings of the interviews I do. Yeah.
Have you ever looked on YouTube to see if any of them are there so you can watch them?
Yeah, I just follow up afterwards. Yeah, they're always there and I watch them and yeah, I see them.
Yeah, the fact is with television, a lot of times you just don't know exactly when it's going to air. Like when I've been interviewed, I'll ask people when it will appear, and it can be on a newscast, but it could be anywhere within an hour or a half-hour newscast. And unless you have the time to watch the entire newscast, yeah, you don't always see it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of the things that you have to deal with. Well, so, but it's kind of more important. Well, it's important that you get to see it so you can evaluate how you're doing and get a chance to listen and think about how you might do it better, which would be a reason for doing it. But it is more important that other people get to see you. And I'm sure that if somebody had some great thought for you, they would tell you about it. But, one of the questions that comes to mind is that the Paralympics is coming up next August in a year in Paris. Are you looking to try to go there? And is there any kind of blind football matches in the Paralympics?
Yeah, and what I have to first inform you is blind football as a sport is the only football currently in the Paralympics Games. It's the only football that is there. So next year, it's going to feature, but as per the qualification window, I think we are very late for it. We woke up late, and to the worst, we first have to be members of the international body, and then we start to play sanctioned games. And by May, it's when I first applied to the first documents. It's when I first applied to the Uganda to the international body to be for membership. And there are some things they still requested, which I'm working on. One of them is the anti-doping rules for our country, because we have to come up with a code that we shall also be following. So we are working on it close with a few partners in sports to see that we have it done. So for next year, we shall not we shall not be in Paris as Blind Football Uganda, but we are eyeing for 2028, which will be staged for Los
Los
Angeles.
Angeles,
So I
right?
believe next year, yes, in 2028. So I believe next year, if everything is sorted with the international body, we are going to start to play international sanctioned games, and we shall see how we shall fight to qualify for 2028. Yeah.
Can some of your players play for other countries next year, or do you see that even as a possibility?
Yeah, I have no problem with it personally if a country approaches them and would like to, because for us, we are not, most of my players are not yet registered in any country database or international database. So if any country approaches us or any country or someone approaches a country individually, it's okay. First, we are open to give them that opportunity so that they can venture and seize be sports can help them to see how their lives can change.
What kinds of challenges do people who are blind or low vision face in going into sports, say in Uganda, like blind football or other things? Are there efforts to encourage that, or do families and people still really say, well, blind people can't do that, and so they discourage it?
It all ends with participation. As long as people are seen playing, people easily understand that these guys can play. And whenever they see them on pitch, they always understand that I was scared to tell my child to go play because I thought they can collide. But when they see themselves on the pitch without any collusion, so people just encourage them to keep playing. So it's the mindset which prevents them. But a few of the challenges, one of them is the accessibility. It comes to the road, it comes to the technology, it comes even in communication. So most of our people are known when it comes to moving to the fields, they are not so visually impaired friendly. Most of the fields we have, even when it comes to playing, they are not visually impaired friendly. Moving in, playing around, or even just walking around them, you can find one pitch is shared by almost four teams of sighted people. So when it comes to playing, our game is a silent game. So it always disturbs us in the training, and we have to fight for the spaces. Another thing can be on the aspect of the uh, finances. There is a lot of expectation because if somebody sees you on TV, somebody hears you on radio, and to the worst sees you on international channels. So someone comes may reach out to you like on Facebook or email and say, I want to be part of Blind Football Uganda. How can you involve me? So most of the people work with come with a high expectation of money because of uh, the huge publicity we have. And to the worst, they end up when we talk to them, we end up finding that we can't like work with them because of the aspect we can't pay them at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And when you tell someone can you be a volunteer, he says, I'm past volunteering. But yet some of us have volunteered in sports for ever since we started like professional careers. Yeah, those are the
It's
few challenges that I can cite
yeah.
out.
It's a new sport, really. It's not been around long, and it is
Yeah.
a process. And a lot of times, I can imagine people are impatient when they need to understand that it's new, and sometimes it's a rare person who will take the step back and say, "Okay, I'll help try to make it better." and maybe someday there'll be money to pay, but it isn't all about money. As you said, the players are also playing for fun, which I think is really important and really pretty cool. So I'm glad that people do play it for fun, and so far that's working. And you'll grow. I mean, it will continue to grow, and there'll be more substance later. So what can people do to help support what you do, and what kind of message do you want those people who listen to Unstoppable Mindset to hear?
For starters, as blind football, we are challenged with the equipment side. So to get the equipment that we use to play in Uganda and Africa at large, it's a little bit hard and expensive. So
for equipment,
so I began a fundraiser. It's on GoFundMe. We are only soliciting for only to buy standard equipments from eye shades, from the balls, even make our own kickboards that we use on the pitch. Everything that you may understand that is used in soccer, we need support for it, because as I've told you, we have 8 teams spread over every region. So our fight is to have more teams with equipment supplied to them. So that's our fight. So if someone wants to help us in one or the other, they can go to GoFundMe, look for blind football, and then they can cast any donation, and I can assure you that the money will go to the right cause. Already we have like 700 euros that have been so far donated to us, and we are moving anyway. We are moving, but more so if someone needs or is willing, who can be willing to come to Uganda, or it can come as a, by the way, if somebody is coming to Uganda, then they come and give us just the knowledge of blind football, because I've never been, all the people I work with, even me, we have never got that knowledge of how to play standard out, like the standard training. We have never got that knowledge. We use YouTube tutorials and even the internet. So we read, we research, and then use it. But we have never got like experience knowledge with a professional. So if someone is willing to come to Uganda just to give us some little knowledge about the game, how we can improve here and there, and give us tips on how we can play, then we also invite you to Uganda.
Well, okay. So tell me how people can reach out to you and learn and contact you and learn more about the program and so on. If you would spell your first and last name and then tell us how they can reach out to you, I would appreciate that.
Yeah. My name is Jagwe Muzafaru, and if you want to reach out to
if you
to
could
me
spell,
or
if
blind
you could
football,
spell, can you spell that, please?
yes, my name is Jagwe Muzafaru, and Jagwe is spelled as Jagwe, Jagwe, and Muzafaru is spelled Muzafaru, and you can reach out to me directly on all social media platforms, specifically Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and even Instagram. And you can also reach out to our social media platforms on which run under the name Blind Football Uganda. Blind Football Uganda. So you can reach out, email. Even if I'm not the one who responds, someone will respond. And if you directly want to talk to me, someone will direct you to me. And then you can have an opportunity to chat with me or the team. More so, if you want to watch some of our works, you can go to YouTube, and on YouTube we use Blind Football Uganda. It's where we post some of the videos of our work. So you can go there and watch a few of our activities that we are doing in Uganda.
So Blind Football Uganda, is that a website?
Not yet. We are working
Okay.
on that. We don't have a website as for now.
Well, I know that we met you. You're working on it.
Yeah, but we are on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. You just type in Blind Football Uganda. Yeah.
Okay.
It will pop up and then you can reach out to us.
Well, I know I met you through Sheldon Lewis at accessiBe. And so I hope that when you get a website, you'll use accessiBe to make sure that it is accessible for everyone to be able to use. And we're all ready to help in any way that we can to assist with that. And so keep working with Sheldon, but if any of us can help, then we're glad to do that. But I want to thank you once again for being here. This has been fun and I think very interesting, and we're anxious to hear more about how things go with Blind Football Uganda as you continue to progress. So you'll have to come back and tell us more later. And for you listening, I hope that you enjoyed this. Please reach out to us. I'd love to hear from you. You can reach me at michaelhi@accessiBe.com. That's MICHAELHI at accessiBe, ACCESSIBE.com. Or you can go to our podcast page, www.michaelhingson.com/podcast. And Michael Hingson is MICHAELHINGSON.com. And so I hope that you will comment on what we have talked about today. And I hope that you'll give us a 5-star rating. Wherever you're listening to this, please give us a 5-star rating. We appreciate your ratings very much and would love to hear your comments. And of course, as always, if you can think of anyone else that you believe that we ought to have as a guest on Unstoppable Mindset, please let us know. And Jagwe, that's the same for you. If you know anyone that we ought to have as a guest, I would appreciate you telling us about it. But I want to thank you one more time for being here and for talking with us today. So thanks very much. This has been fun. I hope you've enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, thank you as well, and welcome.